Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 3rd of February, now it's almost 11 o'clock in the morning, Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There is so many news that I like to share with you, but before I start, let me ask you if I may to hit that like button if you find my videos interesting, to leave some commentary about any topic you like. As you know, more likes and comments my videos will have, more chances are that YouTube algorithm will didn't suppress them too much. And please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Twitter, on Facebook, or any other internet platform that you are active on. That will greatly increase my chances to reach wider audience, and I'll be very much grateful for this help. That being said, let's talk about news now, and of course I'm gonna start with Ukraine and special military operation. And we have RIA Novosti news agency here, which is reporting that early morning today, Zelensky's regime did carry out a terroristic attack in city of Energodar. A car was blown up, and one official was killed, civilian official of this region. As you know, Zelensky's regime using terroristic methods almost on daily basis, and this terroristic attack is one more reason for, let's say, Western society to think again of what kind of regime their governments are supporting in Ukraine. Let's continue. This is TASS news agency, which is reporting that Ukrainian armed forces killed 12 Ukrainian soldiers by gun and artillery fire because this small unit did end up in a difficult situation in a gunfight with the Russian side. And they, in open radio, talked to open wave radio, talked to Russian side and said that they are surrendering. They put up white flag, but because they were talking in open radio, Ukrainian side also listened to them and opened fire in direction of this unit, and all 12 soldiers were killed. This is not first time again. Zelensky's regime is using criminal methods all the way, all the time during this conflict. And this is not the first time when so-called guard units of neo-Nazis that are incorporated in Ukrainian armed forces, like Azov, like Kraken, and many others, they are, this is not the first time that they are killing Ukrainians who are trying to leave positions because of inability to defend themselves or position, or trying to surrender. Just a few days ago, I did report about almost similar story in a different area, when yet again unit was almost surrounded by Russian soldiers. They decided to surrender, and Ukrainian artillery of those guard units opened fire in direction of that unit, and everyone in that unit was killed. And you can see story is repeating itself. Once this conflict will end and we will learn more about activities of those Nazi units that are incorporated in Ukrainian armed forces, we may receive information that thousands of Ukrainian soldiers were killed, not in a battle, but by those Nazi units. I'm quite sure that's the case. Let's continue. This is RIA Novosti reporting, and in this instance, information is about prisoners, war prisoners, and in report is saying that in direction of Crimea, Russian armed forces did carry out a local offensive operation during which 50 enemy soldiers were killed and some soldiers were taken prisoner. And this report is saying that all those soldiers that was taken prison were under heavy influence of drugs. And this is interesting, not just because these soldiers were lucky to end up being a prisoner of war because their lives are safe now and no Ukrainian Nazi guard unit is gonna kill them, but topic of usage of drugs by Ukrainian armed forces will probably be, very actively discussed in the media in coming days and weeks, because more and more reports are, we are seeing more and more reports that Ukrainian armed forces now are actively using narcotics, drugs, like it was, let's say, in Syria when ISIS fighters and a terroristic group that are designated as a terroristic one and banned in Russia and everywhere. You are probably no information about it. So those terrorists, it's well known that those terrorists were actively using amphetamines, and probably similar situation will be repeated in Ukraine, because that's what Western secret services are doing. In Syria, all those terroristic groups, most of them were working for CIA or British intelligence, and they were provided with drugs by CIA and British intelligence. They did give them opportunities to receive those drugs. And in Ukraine, this similar story is repeating. Probably you do see on Telegram channels many videos when Ukrainian soldiers are just out of touch with reality because they are so heavily on the drugs. So yeah, it is what it is, man. Let's continue, and as you know, yesterday Putin did give a speech in Volgograd, which is in Soviet era was called Stalingrad, this city hero. And yesterday was 80 years anniversary of Soviet win in Stalingrad battle. And Putin did give a speech on one of the events in commemoration of this celebration, this victory. And he said that, and let me read, that will be better. Russia does not send its tanks to the borders of the Western countries, but Moscow has the means to respond to the threats, not only with armored vehicles. That was announced on Thursday by Russian President Vladimir Putin in a gala concert dedicated to the 18th anniversary of the victory in Battle of Stalingrad. According to the head of state, those who draw the countries of Europe, including Germany, into a new war with the Russian Federation and irresponsibly declare this as a fact. And here Putin is referring to Foreign Minister of Germany, Annabella Baerbock, which openly said that Germany and other NATO member states, EU member states, are in war with Russia. So Those who expect to defeat Moscow on the battlefield do not understand that modern war with the Russian Federation will be completely different. We do not send our tanks to the borders, but we have something to answer, and only the use of armored vehicles will not end the matter. Basically, Putin did said, in my interpretation, Putin did said exactly what I was saying in my videos previous days, because constant escalation from Western elites in the end will push Russia in the corner when Russian leadership may see no other way out other than using some extreme force and some extreme measures, and who knows what that gonna be. I would not be surprised if in the end, if Western elites will didn't stop, Russia will be forced to use its tactical nukes, because longer this conflict will continue, in more danger Russia and Russian statehood will become. And according to Russian military doctrine, Russia can use nuclear weapons only if attacked by nukes, or if Russian statehood is in danger. And as you understand, only so much Russia can tolerate when it comes to Western involvement in conflict, in Ukrainian conflict. So this is warning shots from Moscow, maybe even last one, So Western societies should definitely wake up. I know there is some demonstrations in USA, in European cities, but it's not enough. Western society should wake up, because we all end up in some very dramatic situation that Western elites are pushing all of us towards, with which, you know. So that's how I interpret Putin's statements, that this is maybe a last warning shot from Russia. Yeah, let's continue. Because Putin is, openly saying that this battle will don't end only with usage of armed vehicles. So he's giving reason to think that if Russia is forced to use some extreme measures, extreme weapons, that will be done. And probably you remember Putin's statement that he made some time ago, when he said that he is not bluffing. And he is not, I'm quite sure about it. So yeah, let's continue. We have TASS news agencies reporting, based on new Bloomberg's article, that U.S. administration is changing its strategy towards Ukraine. That was said by columnist of Bloomberg, Hal Brands, and according to Brands, Washington now leaning towards diplomatic solution in this conflict, because they are seeing that strategy of escalation for de-escalation, which meant that West will send more and more weapons, escalate to enforce Russia to kind of surrender, or to sign the peace deal on Western terms. in Washington, in other European capitals, they are seeing now that this strategy is not working. So something must be done. And columnist of uh, Bloomberg, saying that he's saying that in Washington, sorry about these pauses, but okay, let's continue. So, a columnist of Bloomberg is writing that Washington now sees that it's impossible to force Russia on a peace deal that will be not in Russian interests, and that's why they are now advising Ukraine to give up idea of retaking all territories that is under Russian control now. And in continuation of this news, we have a story here that was published in German newspaper, as I understand, NZZ. I will don't pronounce this. I mean, you can read it probably here. So, German newspaper did write an article in which information was provided that CIA director, under order of Biden, offer a peace deal to Zelensky's regime and to Moscow, according which Ukraine will give up 20% of its territories. Basically, that's Crimea and Donbass region for peace. But same time, according to this article, that's why CIA director was in Ukraine, and this newspaper is writing that CIA director also visit Moscow in secret to discuss this proposal from Washington, but both sides, Kiev and Moscow, refused to agree on these terms. And it continues that only because of this refusal, Biden decided to send more tanks to Ukraine. Can we believe this information? I don't know, but anything is possible. Anything is possible. And this proposal was, doomed to fail from the beginning because, as you know, Russian side, by Russian constitution, not just Donbass and Crimea is part of Russia, but Zaporozhye and Kherson region too. So Russia just cannot give up those territories. And if anyone, by Russian law, if anyone in Russia will even suggest to give up these territories, that will be unlawful act, and that person may end up in paying a huge fine, or may even end up in prison. Because in Russia, it's prohibited to uh, openly support disintegration of the country. And as I said, Crimea, Donbass, Kherson, and Zaporozhye regions, by Russian constitution, are parts of Russia now. So this proposal was from the beginning doomed to fail. But fact is interesting that Washington was thinking that this may work. I mean, how stupid they are in Washington, man. I mean, truly. All of them have some kind of diplomas, in big name universities, from big name universities. But sometimes I do think that they are buying those diplomas back because they are too stupid, man. They are too damn stupid. Let's continue with the news. And We have information here, still Bloomberg, this is RBK News Agency, is writing based on Bloomberg's article, which said that in the West, they are, they are advising Western masters of the Zelensky and his regime, his affiliates, to withdraw from Bakhmut. I would not say that this is new information. We did know that already a few weeks ago. Pentagon officials were advising Zelensky's regime to withdraw forces from Bakhmut. But we are now receiving more and more information in confirmation of this, that from the West, Zelensky's regime is receiving these kind of suggestions to leave Bakhmut and save forces that are almost in full encirclement in that city. Not in full encirclement, but almost. And let me show you on the map. Let me show you on the map. Bakhmut is here. That's a Bakhmut. And as you know, Bakhmut is in operational encirclement. There is only one road from Bakhmut to Chesovyar, which can be used by Ukrainian forces that are in Bakhmut city. But according to Russian side, even this road is under fire control. So in my understanding, that's operational encirclement. And I'm quite sure, as I said many times in previous videos, I'm quite sure that before 20 or 21st of February, Bakhmut will be under Russian control, and I have good reasons to believe in this possibility, because according to Russian media, on 20 or 21st of February, President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, will deliver speech to Federal Assembly, and for that time, Russian side will probably try to at least deal with this situation with Bakhmut that is continuing so many months now. And let me also show you, in continuation of this topic, that Russian forces, we did receive information yesterday late afternoon that Russian side did take control over the Nikolaevka, this small village here. This is pro-Ukrainian map, so updates, pro-Russian, let's say updates, you will see in a few days time probably. But Wagner units did take control over this small village here, which means that Russian forces are closing in on Seversk. Closing in on Seversk more and more. Because Seversk is here. And as you see, Russian side moving from east, and from south, and from the west, from Kreminaya. And it's only a matter of time when Seversk, and this is Seversk here, will be in operational encirclement or in direct contact with Russian armed forces. Let's continue. And yes, we have this is TASS News Agency, which is reporting that CIA director William Burns is saying now that next 6 months gonna be crucial ones in Ukrainian conflict, and everything will be decided in this time frame. And this time, probably we can agree with this statement because it's obvious that in next few months, Russian side will take some decisive actions to finish this conflict as fast as possible. So, which means that Russian side will try to conduct large-scale offensive operations, which will force Zelensky's regime to run from Ukraine or to sign peace deal on Russian terms. So yes, next 6 months gonna be very much interesting in that sense. So two more news we have here. This is TASS news agency again, and same CIA chief William Burns is not happy because Beijing still committed to partnership with Moscow. So I will read it for you a little bit. Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, William Burns, believes that the Chinese government remains committed to its partnership with Russia. CBS journalist Olivia Kazis said on Twitter. The journalist quoted Burns as saying while addressing an event at the Georgetown University that Beijing remains committed to the partnership with Russia and very reluctant to provide, even though very reluctant to provide little arms. At the same time, Reuters wrote writing with reference to Burns that it would be a mistake to underestimate the commitment of Moscow and Beijing to bilateral cooperation. And yet again, I mean, how stupid they are. This CIA director, for example, and others in U.S. elites, that they were thinking that somehow relationships between Moscow and Beijing will be in jeopardy because of this conflict. I mean, how stupid you're gonna be to think that way? West with their actions are pushing China and Russia to build up more closer ties. They are pushing Moscow and Beijing to have more closer ties. And same time, they are hoping that this relationship between China and Russia will somehow break down. No, it will not happen. They may want it, and I'm quite sure Western elites do want to do some regime change in Russia and put in power some puppets that will turn back on China, and I'm quite sure that's what their main plan is really. I mean, Western elites, they want at some point to do some regime change in Russia, put in power some puppets, so that Russian-Chinese relationship will break down, and China will be forced to act aggressively towards Russia, because if Russia will cut energy supplies, for example, to China, that will mean that China's statehood will be under threat, because Russia, and if that's in the case if at the same time Western elites will blow up Middle East and cut shipping through Persian Gulf. And that's what they will do. They will first instigate war in Middle East between Iran, for example, and other regional powers. That will make impossible shipping through Persian Gulf, and China is receiving most of its oil for now, for example, from Persian Gulf, because Saudi Arabia is a main exporter of oil for China. And once that happens, China will be dependent on Russian energy supplies. So if for that time Western elites will somehow manage to change regime in Russia and break and influence on Russian oil supplies to China, then of course Beijing will be forced to act aggressively and try to secure energy supply for itself. And closest oil and gas fields to China are in Russia and in Kazakhstan. So that's how Western elites are planning to provoke conflict between China and Russia, in my understanding. And I did talk about this topic many times in previous videos, and there is no reason to continue now. But that's how I see this situation and this conflict in Ukraine, part of this big game, big plan, big geopolitical plan that West have to destroy Russia, China, to destroy India, to destroy entire Indo-Pacific region, so that there will be no country left who can in any way oppose Western influence or Western domination. One day I may do some separate video about these topics, because there is many things to talk about it to, in a better way, present my reading of this big picture. But for now, this is it. And this is gonna be last news for now. This is quite interesting too, because Pentagon is reporting, and there is many eyewitnesses who even make videos about this balloon that are over the USA now, moving over the USA. And the Pentagon is stated that this is Chinese spy balloon, but they did decide to didn't shut it down because it does not endanger US security interests or something like that. That's what they stated. But it's quite interesting, isn't it? I did share this information and video on my Telegram too, on my Telegram too. So if you want to learn more informations that are making headlines in Russia, you can sign on my Telegram channel, because I do post many informations during the day. So yes, that's a balloon with some antennas and some solar panels. It looks like solar panel, at least. And yes, Pentagon is saying that at present the balloon is flying at an altitude well above commercial air travel and poses no military or physical threat to people on the ground. And Pentagon spokesman said, adding that US military had decided not to shut down the balloon. Why? Why they are not shooting this balloon if it's Chinese? Maybe this is some secret US project that, maybe they lost control over this balloon, and now they are saying that this is Chinese balloon or something like that. Who knows? So anyway, man, this is it for now. Let's see. 35 minutes almost. So yes, this is it for now. I hope you find this video interesting, and if so, please consider to. Oh, one more news, man. One more news. Sorry, I just remember. I just remember that there is one more news that I like to talk about, and this is Georgian news agency Interpress News. Um, it's ironic that I used to work for this news agency many years ago. So this news agency is reporting that State Department of the USA is warning Georgian government basically, that if Tbilisi, capital of Georgia, if official Tbilisi will allow Russian uh, avia companies to do some flights to Georgia, direct flights to Georgia, Georgia may end up under sanctions, or Georgian companies may end up under sanctions. That's face of modern U.S. government, man. They are trying in any way they can to somehow destabilize Georgia itself internally and somehow push Georgia towards confrontation or escalation with Russia. That's what US is in modern days, man. Danger to entire world. Danger to entire world. So yes, it is what it is, man. This is definitely last news for this video. I hope you find this update interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like. Even simple smile will do, because as I said in the beginning, more likes and comments my videos will have, more chances are that YouTube algorithm will don't suppress them too much. And please share links to my videos on my channel with your friends on Twitter, Telegram, Facebook, or any other platform that you are active on. This is it for now. Have a nice day and take care.